the problem I had facing the amputation was when you think of an amputee in normal culture, today's society, you see either the grumpy ones in a movie or you see somebody who's climbing Mount Everest. You don't see the in-between every day. You see the marathon runners or the people who are, hate people and hate their life. You don't know where you're going to fit. Are there only two extremes? That's what I was thinking. How is it going to be afterwards? In my experience, beforehand, I was in a band since high school, so I played on stage and did all that. When I came back after my amputation, I played 3 or 4 shows with one leg. I sat on a chair. I was able to hit all my pedals, but I was up on stage. And now, I can almost jump around. I can't, but pretty close. That hasn't changed one bit, but it's just because I don't want that to change. That was something that was a big part of my life, and that was something worth fighting for. I go out and play bocce ball. I can grill. I don't do swimming much anymore. That's changed a little bit. I was a lifeguard, but I could if I wanted to. Going out on boats, I can do all that, and I only have one leg. Things, in my experience, the only things that are different are things like showering. It's automatic now when I call a hotel. I think, what kind of shower do you have? If it's a walk-in, I need a tub because I need to be able to transfer in. Because I can't wear my prosthetic in the shower. It would short circuit probably. But you adapt to that, and it becomes normal in your life. You know what your limitations are, and some of those limitations aren't even limitations because you can overcome them if you want to. But there's the workaround that you really have to figure out sometimes.
And I have, I think the best example for borrowing trouble, as I call, that anticipation of new things in life that you are not prepared for, was when I became a grandmother. And it was 10 months after losing my hand. So, a month after losing my hand, then I became aware of the fact that I was going to become a grandmother for the first time. And for that 9 months, I could only think of how I was not going to be the kind of grandmother that I always dreamt that I would be. And I focused on how was I going to change diapers, how was I going to, I could never put French braids in a little girl's hair, how was I going to pick up this baby, how was I going to do all of these things. And the reality is, as a very wise friend told me, your grandchild will adapt to who you are. And she did. And it's quite miraculous, as a matter of fact. And now her little brother, who is now 3, I used to have to put my legs on his arms in order to change his diapers because he was so much more active than she. But I describe it as borrowing trouble because it's just this fear of how am I going to do this, and then the realization that with patience and persistence and cooperation you can do it. My grandchildren actually have conversations with Stumper, as we call my remaining limb, and they're probably more affectionate with Stumper than anybody else in Stumper's life.
I named mine Reggie. You have to
Mine was Owie Arm. My daughter was 1.5, so it was Dad had an Owie. So yeah, I guess
Owie
we get
Arm.
names.
That's pretty good.
So during that time where things are just very up in the air, you don't know what's going on, were there other things that people said to you that really helped you to kind of pull yourself to a better place emotionally with it? Was there advice that people gave that felt really helpful? Were there things that people said that really felt like it was pushing you in the wrong direction or that was unhelpful?
And meeting with other amputees was really more critical, I think, than meeting other cancer patients, because that part of the treatment was so very foreign to anything that was within my realm of understanding. I'd never heard the word sarcoma before I was diagnosed with sarcoma.
Neither had I.
I'd never heard the word, and so it was like, whoa, this whole thing is just so amazing. But the pieces of advice from the 2 amputees that I spoke to, the whole thing of, if you're patient and persistent, you really can do it all. And they were both living examples of living life. That they that they both just provided me a wonderful example of knowing that life would go on.
I really used my family as a support system, like that. The day that, 2 days after they found the tumor, I actually broke my leg, and I was a junior in college, and my girlfriend at the time saw it happen, saw me fall over, called 911, and she rode with me in the ambulance all the way down from Fargo down to here. And she stayed with me every single night on the little chairs they have. She even slept on the floor a couple times in the hospital. And I broke my leg on a Wednesday, and on Friday they diagnosed me, did the biopsy, and I also asked her to marry me that day because I knew that my family was going to be my support system, my parents, my sisters, and now my fiance, who is now my wife. And that's really not necessarily one piece of advice, because every situation is so different, but finding that one person that you can meet, or those couple people that you can meet, really is a breakthrough. Try to meet people, get connected to organizations in your community that offer up individuals like that. Freedom Resources is one in Fargo that would help connect you with other amputees and people who are in your like position. So it's different for everybody, but seeking that help out will be very beneficial in the end.
Those people who are just at that very beginning phase who we're really trying to reach today, other thoughts that you think that would be helpful for them to hear?
I want to say, do what you got to do. Mine was an aggressive type of cancer. It was life or you're going to die of cancer. And it wasn't a hard choice when you look back 10 years plus. The question was, are we going to cut off my hand? The question is, where? Draw the line where you got to draw the line, get it done, get that out of me so that I can live.
I had a moment that